Welcome to Ank's English Podcast, your home for mastering English and sparking a brighter future. I'm Ank, your host, and today I'm diving into a question that's been swirling in my mind. Why do some people completely transform their lives, soaring to new heights, while others seem stuck in the same old cycle, year after year? It's a puzzle that hits close to home, whether you're tackling a new language, chasing a career goal, or just wanting to feel more alive. The challenge? Most of us crave change but feel lost on where to start. Or we're trapped waiting for that magical moment that never comes. Stay with me through this episode because I'm unpacking practical steps to break free and build the life you dream of, all while leveling up your English skills. By the end, you'll have tools, inspiration, and new words to share your journey with confidence. Let's get started. I was reflecting the other day, sitting with my morning coffee, watching the world wake up outside my window. I couldn't help but wonder, what separates those who go from struggling to thriving? I've seen people transform in ways that seem almost miraculous. Folks who went from barely speaking English to holding confident conversations, or from feeling aimless to chasing bold dreams with unstoppable energy. Is it luck? Some rare gift? Or is there a roadmap we can all follow? When I first started learning English, I felt like I was climbing an endless mountain. The grammar rules were a tangle. The vocabulary felt overwhelming, and I was convinced I'd never sound natural. But then something shifted. I realized that big changes don't come from one dramatic moment. They're built from small, steady steps, day after day. That's what we're exploring today. How to change your life, one tiny action at a time. Before we dive in, I've got something exciting to share. This episode is packed with practical ideas you can use right away to spark change in your life. And I'm introducing some intermediate level words and phrases to help you express yourself better. Later, I'll break them down in my vocabulary spotlight section, where we'll dig into their meanings, explore how they work, and practice using them in real-life conversations. So stick around. By the end of this episode, you'll have a clear plan to transform your life and fresh English tools to articulate your dreams with confidence. Let's start with the big question. Why is change so hard for so many of us? We all dream of something better. Maybe speaking fluent English, landing a dream job, starting a new hobby, or just feeling more confident in who we are. But dreams alone don't make things happen. Most people stay stuck because of invisible barriers that hold them back. First, there's the fear of failure. I used to lie awake at night worrying, what if I try speaking English and sound ridiculous? What if people laugh or judge me? But then I realized something. Every successful person, from athletes to artists, has stumbled along the way. The difference? They didn't let fear stop them. They took one shaky step, then another, and kept moving forward, even when it felt scary. I remember a friend who wanted to start a small business. She was terrified of failing, of losing money, or looking foolish. But she took one small step, researching her idea for just 10 minutes a day. Those tiny actions built her confidence, and today her business is thriving. Fear is normal, but it doesn't have to control you. Another roadblock is not knowing where to begin. I've met so many people who want a better life, but feel paralyzed because they don't have a perfect plan. They think they need every detail mapped out before they can take action. But life isn't like that. When I started this podcast, I didn't have a grand strategy. I just recorded one episode, fumbled through it, and learned as I went. That messy start led me here, talking to you today. Then there's the voice in our heads, that negative self-talk that sneaks in. You know the one. I'm not smart enough. I'll never be good at English. I'm just not cut out for this. That chatter is like a weight dragging you down before you even try. I used to tell myself I'd never sound fluent because I wasn't a natural at languages. But those thoughts were just stories I was telling myself, not facts. And here's the biggest trap of all, waiting for motivation. I used to think I'd practice English when I felt inspired, when the stars aligned, or when I had the perfect study setup. But that moment never came. The secret I learned? Motivation doesn't lead to action. Action creates motivation. When I started practicing English for just 5 minutes a day, maybe reading a short article or repeating a phrase, I began to see tiny improvements. Those small wins made me excited, and that excitement pushed me to do more. I remember struggling with English pronunciation, especially tricky sounds that felt impossible. I'd practice in front of a mirror, feeling awkward and silly. But over time, I got better, and that progress fueled my drive. It's like starting a fire. You need a spark to get it going, and action is that spark. So, here's the first big takeaway. To change your life, you need to recognize what's holding you back. Fear, lack of clarity, negative thoughts, or waiting for motivation. These are the walls we build around ourselves. Once you see them, you can start tearing them down. But how do we actually make those changes stick? That's where the power of small, daily steps comes in. You don't need to overhaul your life overnight. Real change is built gradually, like stacking bricks to build a strong foundation. Have you heard of the 1% rule? It's the idea that if you improve just 1% every day, those tiny gains compound into massive results. In a year, you're not just a little better. You're transformed, almost like a new person. It's like saving money. A small amount each day grows into something big over time. I love this concept because it takes the pressure off. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to be consistent. This reminds me of a book I've been reading, Atomic Habits by James Clear. He talks about how habits are like compound interest for self-improvement. Small actions, repeated daily, shape who you become. When I started learning English, I didn't try to master everything at once. I just committed to learning 5 new words a day. At first, it felt like nothing, but over months, those words added up to thousands, and my confidence soared. I also started listening to English music during my commute, just 10 minutes a day. Slowly, I began understanding lyrics, catching phrases, and feeling more connected to the language. Those small habits changed how I saw myself. Think about it. What could you do with just 5 or 10 minutes a day? Maybe practice English by watching a short video, writing a sentence, or saying one positive affirmation. I know someone who became fluent in English just by reading children's books every night. They didn't start with a big, intimidating plan, just a small habit they stuck to. Another example is a cousin of mine who wanted to get fit. He didn't join a gym or buy fancy equipment. He just started doing 5 push-ups every morning. Over time, he added more, and now he's running marathons. The lesson? Don't wait for a grand gesture. Pick one small action today and make it a habit. Those little wins will carry you further than you can imagine. But habits alone aren't enough. There's something even deeper that shapes our success: our mindset. How we think about ourselves and our potential makes all the difference. There's this concept called growth mindset versus fixed mindset. With a fixed mindset, you think your abilities are set in stone. Like, I'm just not good at languages, and that's that. But with a growth mindset, you believe you can improve with effort. When I started learning English, I was stuck in a fixed mindset. I thought I'd never sound fluent because I wasn't naturally talented. But then I shifted my thinking to, I'm not fluent yet, but I'm getting better every day. That tiny word, yet, opened up a world of possibilities. I started reading about how our brains work, and I came across something fascinating called the reticular activating system. It's like a filter in your mind that highlights what you focus on. When you learn a new English word, you suddenly hear it everywhere, on TV and songs and conversations. That's your brain tuning in. If you keep thinking, I can't do this, your brain will find evidence to back that up. But if you tell yourself, I'm improving every day, you'll start noticing your progress, no matter how small. That's why I'm a big fan of practices like affirmations, saying things like, I'm confident in my English skills, or visualization, picturing yourself succeeding, like giving a speech or chatting effortlessly with friends. And gratitude, taking a moment to appreciate how far you've come, even if it's just learning one new phrase. These practices aren't just fluffy ideas. They're grounded in science. They rewire your brain to see opportunities instead of roadblocks. I started doing affirmations every morning, standing in front of my mirror saying, I'm becoming a better English speaker. At first, it felt silly, like I was talking to myself. But over time, I noticed I was less afraid to speak in public. My mindset shifted from doubt to excitement. I also tried visualization, closing my eyes and imagining myself giving a presentation in English, feeling calm and confident. It sounds simple, but it made a huge difference. So here's a tip. Try saying one affirmation every day, like I'm growing stronger in English, or visualize yourself achieving your goal, whether it's speaking fluently or landing a new opportunity. And take a moment to be grateful for your progress, no matter how small. These mental shifts pave the way for big life changes. Another trap we fall into is waiting for the perfect moment to start. I used to think I'd speak English when I had perfect grammar, a flawless accent, or the right opportunity. But the truth is, you're never fully ready. Confidence comes from action, not preparation. When I finally started speaking English, I made so many mistakes. I'd mix up words, stumble over sentences, and sometimes forget what I wanted to say. But each conversation, even the messy ones, made me a little better. Those mistakes weren't failures. They were proof I was learning. There's a phrase I love, done is better than perfect. Waiting for everything to be just right means you'll never begin. I think back to when I was hesitant to join an English conversation group. I kept thinking, I'm not ready yet. I'll join when I'm better. But one day, I just showed up, nervous and unsure. I fumbled through my words, but the group was supportive, and each session built my confidence. By jumping in, imperfect as I was, I grew faster than I ever would have by waiting. Here's a challenge for you. Think of one thing you've been delaying. Maybe it's speaking English, starting a new hobby, or reaching out for help. Now, commit to taking one small step today. Not tomorrow, not next week, but today. Maybe it's saying one English sentence out loud, practicing a phrase, or writing a short note. Action builds momentum, and momentum builds confidence. When I started this podcast, I didn't feel ready. I just hit record, stumbled through it, and trusted I'd improve. That first episode was far from perfect, but it was a start. And now we're here, growing together. Beyond habits and mindset, there's one more piece of the puzzle: your environment. The people and ideas around you shape your growth more than you realize. There's a saying, you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. If you're around people who don't believe in change, their doubts can weigh you down. But if you're with people who inspire you, their energy lifts you up. When I was learning English, I felt stuck until I joined a language study group. Suddenly, I had people to practice with, share struggles, and celebrate wins. We'd laugh over our mistakes, swap tips, and cheer each other on. That community made all the difference. I also noticed how much my environment affected my mindset. When I spent time with people who complained or focused on problems, I felt drained. But when I surrounded myself with positive, driven folks, I felt energized to grow. So, how do you build a supportive environment? Start by seeking out inspiring voices, whether it's teachers, mentors, or content like this podcast. Their ideas will shift your perspective over time. Join groups where growth is the norm, like language clubs, book circles, or hobby meetups. Being around people who value progress keeps you motivated. And don't forget to limit negativity. If you're around people who constantly criticize or drag you down, set boundaries. Choose to focus on influences that light you up. Here's another example. A colleague of mine wanted to improve her English for work. She felt stuck until she started studying with a small group of coworkers during lunch breaks. They'd practice phrases, correct each other gently, and share resources. That supportive circle helped her confidence soar, and now she leads meetings in English. Your environment can either hold you back or propel you forward. So, take a moment to reflect. Who are the 5 people you spend the most time with? Do they push you to grow or hold you back? If they're not helping you shine, it might be time to seek out new influences. Surround yourself with voices that remind you what's possible. And speaking of voices, let's pivot to something that can help you express your dreams more clearly: new English words. Now, it's time for the vocabulary spotlight. Today we've talked about transformation, habits, and mindset. So let's unpack some words and phrases to make your conversation sparkle. First up is resilience, the ability to bounce back from challenges. For example, her resilience helped her master English despite tough lessons. Next is incremental, growing bit by bit, like improving your skills incrementally through daily practice. Another great phrase is mindset shift, changing how you think. For instance, a mindset shift helped me embrace my mistakes as part of learning. Finally, momentum, the energy you build by taking action, like gaining momentum in English by practicing every day. Let's practice one more. Perseverance, sticking with something even when it's hard. You could say, his perseverance in studying English paid off when he passed his exam. These words aren't just fancy terms. They're tools to express your journey with clarity and confidence. Try using one in a sentence today, like, my resilience keeps me going even when English feels tough. Or, I'm making incremental progress by practicing daily. Play with them, make them yours, and watch your conversations come alive. That's it for the vocabulary spotlight. Let's bring it all together. If I had to leave you with one big idea today, it's this: you hold the power to shape your life. Small steps, a growth mindset, and the right environment can take you anywhere you want to go. Change isn't about one big dramatic moment. It's built through consistent actions, rewiring how you think, and choosing who and what you let into your world. Don't wait for perfection, permission, or the right time. Start now. even if it's just one tiny step. Maybe it's practicing one English phrase, taking a walk to clear your mind, or reaching out to someone who inspires you. I want to leave you with one final story. A few years ago, I met someone who felt stuck in their job, their language skills, and their life. They wanted change, but didn't know where to start. One day, they decided to try something small, listening to an English podcast, not mine, sadly, for 10 minutes each morning. That tiny habit led them to join a language group where they made friends who encouraged them. Over time, they built confidence, improved their English, and even applied for a new job they never thought they'd qualify for. Today, they're thriving, not because of one big leap, but because of small, consistent steps. That could be you, starting today. So here's my challenge. What's one small change you're going to make today? Maybe it's speaking one English sentence, writing a positive affirmation, or reaching out to someone who lifts you up. Think about it, commit to it, and take action. If this episode sparked something in you, keep tuning in, share it with a friend, and let's keep growing together. Until next time, this is Ank's English Podcast. Keep reaching for your dreams.